You're watching DDI NEWSHOUR. I'm Prasar Bharati. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak apologized for leaving the D-Day commemorations early for an interview. The early departure has come as a major setback to campaign for July 4th election. Sunak's decision not to stay at the event in northern France alongside other world leaders on Thursday has been met with criticism within his Conservative Party. The leader of the opposition Labour Party, Keir Starmer, remained in Normandy for the duration of events. According to opinion polls, Labour has an edge over the Conservatives. Meanwhile, during the interview, Sunak claimed that a Labour government would result in more burden on taxpayers.
Are you willing to lie in order to stay in power?
No.
The Labour Party say you're a liar.
Yeah, I think it's pretty desperate stuff, and Keir Starmer and Labour Party obviously very rattled that we've exposed their plans to raise tax on people, and that's what it demonstrates.
Conservative politician Penny Mordaunt announced in a television interview that the party's election manifesto will be released next week. While Britain's opposition Labour Party is also expected to release its manifesto next week ahead of July 4 election. All right, we have Ollie Barrett. He's DD India correspondent joining us from London. Hi, Ollie. Tell us about the election in UK, which is attracting eyeballs for varied reasons. What are the promises, first of all, both the Conservative Party and Labour Party making to woo the voters?
Well, if you look at the campaign trail just today, the two main parties are focusing on economic issues, really. The Conservatives are promising to retain a removal of the so-called stamp duty property tax for properties up to a certain value. They say that that would help more people onto the housing ladder and particularly help people finding difficulties affording the ability to buy a property. The Labour Party today also focusing on economic issues as well and making various pledges in that domain, and economic issues are front and centre in this campaign so far, partly because of the cost of living crisis that the UK, like many other countries, has been experiencing. But it's not all about the economy. Migration is also a central theme, with the Conservatives promising that Rwanda migration plan to send some asylum seekers to Rwanda to pursue their claims there. The Labour Party say that they would get on top of immigration in a different way and they would scrap the Rwanda scheme altogether. Lots of pledges around veterans affairs and defence spending too. The parties have a slightly different position on defence spending, in the sense that the Conservatives say that they would get up to 2.5% of GDP being spent on defence by the year 2030. The Labour Party say they would get up to 2.5% as well, but aren't putting a timeline on it. So there are differences between the parties, and the campaign at this point being fought around a number of significant issues, from the economy to migration to taxation to crime and security as well. Lots to talk about on the campaign trail today, as I say, a focus from both of the two main parties on economic issues.
Okay, since you've just mentioned campaign, Ollie, Rishi Sunak claimed that Labour government would result in more burden on taxpayers. And Sunak is receiving a lot of flack for leaving D-Day commemorations early as well for interview, which might go against the Conservative Party in July 4 elections, where all 650 seats in the House of Commons are up for grabs. What's your assessment?
Well, on the tax point, that is a row that is still continuing. The accusation from Labour is that the Conservatives have lied, and that the Prime Minister himself has lied about an assessment that they have made that the Labour Party would need to raise taxes on households up and down the country by over £2,000, so several thousand US dollars. The accusation from Labour is that the Conservatives have lied about that being what the Conservatives called an independent assessment made by officials in the Treasury in Westminster. The Conservatives insist they have done no lying at all. They say they stick by the numbers and their claims that Labour would raise taxes in that way. But it's become a very bad-natured row between those two parties, with accusations flying back and forth. When it comes to Rishi Sunak, it is absolutely absolutely been a blow for his election chances. That mistake, as he called it himself, in leaving D-Day commemorations early to get back to the UK and carry out a television interview. It meant that the leader of the opposition, Keir Starmer, was able to be photographed at that international ceremony alongside other international leaders, while Rishi Sunak was back in front of the television cameras in the UK. He's apologised for it. His senior ministers have been apologising for it on the campaign trail as well. And the opposition parties are absolutely making as much hay as possible as they can out of it. They say it's a dereliction of duty, according to the Labour Party. The Labour Party also say it calls into question the Prime Minister's character, and many Conservative candidates to become MPs or to stay MPs in the elections on July the 4th are privately saying that they're absolutely devastated by this, and they feel that it could be a significant moment in the election campaign which hurts the Conservatives.
Definitely, the campaigning is going on in full swing and too much is happening there in UK as far as the elections are concerned. But thank you so much, Ollie, for joining in.